The following program is the work of the broadcast students of the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland which were produced over the last week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
Today on BCIT Magazine, we look at BCIT's sexual assault policy.
A new study provides insight into Vancouver's real estate market.
And one municipality wants to see more toll bridges in the Lower Mainland. Hello and welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Kyle Balzer.
And I'm Katie Youngblood. After a number of reported sexual assault incidents across Canada, one student organization is hoping to keep students safe on and off campus. Where does BCIT fit into all of this? My co-anchor Kyle Balzer has more.
There have been nearly 10 reports of alleged sexual assault cases in Burnaby and Vancouver within the last month. It's fair to say it's put both these communities on high alert, especially for those on post-secondary education campuses. The Canadian Federation of Students is calling on the nation's more than 100 universities and colleges to implement a new standalone policy for any possible future sexual assault. They also say only fewer than a quarter of universities have this separate policy. BCIT is one of them. According to BCIT's sexual assault policy, the school is committed to providing a safe and secure environment, a quick response following the incident, and communicating that response to the entire BCIT community. The school also has a response to a sexual assault procedure. A student must call 911 or campus security, seek medical attention at the closest hospital, and find personal support in the form of a complaint or through counseling services. So are students aware of this policy?
They made an effort, right? They put out a few notices.
I haven't really heard anything about it, so I would say no. Like, I've heard things kind of on the news come up, but for myself, I wouldn't know, or I wouldn't be aware of it.
As far as I'm aware, there's a lot of security patrols. I just don't know if security is made aware of these situations in a timely manner, and I don't know if the student body is made aware of these issues in a timely manner.
We tried reaching out to both the BCIT Student Association and BCIT administration for their take on the situation, but they were both unavailable for comment. Kyle Balzer in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
An update to that story, the University of Victoria has recently banned a student from campus who is accused of sexually assaulting 4 women. And graduate students from UBC have come forward alleging that the school delayed taking action on repeated offenders. Advocates continue to push for new laws to stop sexual violence on school campuses.
The family of murder victim Maple Battaglia finally got some closure. Her killer, Gurjinder Gary Dhaliwal, was sentenced for the gruesome murder back in 2011, where Battaglia was shot and stabbed on SFU's Surrey campus. The trial continues this week, and our reporter Roshni Nair joins us with more. Roshni, what happened at the trial?
Yeah, it was a very strange set of circumstances. Dhaliwal pled guilty, something that no one was expecting. Now, he pled guilty to the lesser charge of second-degree murder instead of first-degree murder, but nevertheless a very emotional day in the courtroom. Maple's family was there as well to give their victim impact statements, and none were as powerful as Maple's mother. Now, at one point she broke down in tears, saying that she had always dreamt of leading Maple to her wedding carriage, and instead she had to put her body in a funeral casket. Now, Dhaliwal also took the stand, apologizing to the Battaglia family and also his own.
And Roshni, what's next for the family?
Yeah, this case isn't quite over yet. Dhaliwal's accomplice, Gursumer Bedi, is in court next week for charges relating to him being an accessory after the fact and manslaughter. Back to you.
Thanks, Roshni. Moving on to other news, some people see Vancouver's housing as a market for foreign investors, but a new report suggests otherwise. Colin Mostert has the story.
Allegations proposing that investors are purchasing property and leaving it empty, driving up prices and reducing supply have been around for quite some time. But a new report conducted by Ecotagus has discovered quite the contrary.
The research study is not showing an increase in the unoccupancy rate in the city of Vancouver. However, due to growth in the housing stock overall, the number of empty homes is growing.
The report determined that only 4.8% of Vancouver homes are empty, a number that is actually below the national average. The study also found that the vacancy rate has been flat since 2002. However, the number of unoccupied residences does continue to grow. One of the central facets of this report is a distinction between condos and other residential homes. 1 in 8 condos in Vancouver are vacant, with 90% of all vacant homes being condos. But what does all this information tell us about the future of Vancouver housing?
What we've been able to do for this study is understand that we have got a much more in-depth analysis of where the vacancy and empty homes sit, and we can now look at policy direction of how we can address that particular element of the segment.
Okay, 225,000 overall.
The report still has many questions left to answer, but it serves as further insight into Vancouver's empty housing issues, substantial or otherwise. Colin Mostert in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
The Alex Fraser Bridge is an alternative route for those trying to bypass the toll on the Portman. But now the city of Delta is calling for tolls on all bridges. Lindsay Howe has the story.
The Alex Fraser Bridge is a free crossing that connects North Delta with New Westminster and Richmond. The 30-year-old bridge sees heavy traffic during rush hour, which some say is related to people trying to avoid this. The tolls on the Portman Bridge. But the city of Delta is now calling on the province to change its policy of only tolling new infrastructure.
You know, I appreciate some people feel, oh, we have to have one bridge that isn't tolled. However, think about it. You know, the stress on one point where people, you know, want to get through, or maybe save that $2,000 a year or whatever it is, you know, for their children or you know, some of the things they need. If we had $1 a toll, $1 a pass through the bridge, I think that would be good for everyone.
We asked the Ministry of Transportation why they will only toll new infrastructure, and in an email response they mentioned the George Massey Tunnel project and said in part, construction on this project is anticipated to begin in 2017, followed by a 5-year construction period. This will allow several years to discuss the merits of alternative tolling strategies for the Metro Vancouver area before tolls are put into place in 2022. Still, the idea of tolling the Alex Fraser doesn't sit well with some commuters.
As a taxpayer, I believe that we've already paid for the Alex Fraser Bridge, so why would we toll the bridge?
I think we have enough tolls on the bridges as it is.
I'm not really in favor for it. I think we pay enough taxes as it is, and being a constant bridge user, I don't really want any more money added onto my daily commute, so I'm really not in favor of tolling any more bridges.
Would you be in favor of the idea of tolling every bridge but making it a lower toll?
I think that would probably be a little fair. I mean, the cost right now would probably be prohibitive for a lot of people simply because it would add up over the monthly work weeks. So I think if it was a fair and equitable for everybody, not too bad.
For now, commuters are able to cruise toll-free along the Alex Fraser. Lindsay Howe in Delta for BCIT Magazine.
So Kyle, I don't drive to school, I take transit, but you drive, so what do you think about the tolls?
I do, Katie. I come from the valley right over the Portman Bridge. And you know, while I'm not really a big fan of the tolls it has, it definitely gets me to school a lot faster.
Coming up next on BCIT Magazine, the sky is no limit for female pilot.
And a new immigrant social club hopes to combat loneliness.
A defining moment for me was when I finished my first internship and got lots of really great feedback from industry professionals.
I would have never imagined I'd be walking into the floors of TSN and thinking, I'm not a student anymore, I'm here to work.
I will be starting a job with an investigative news program in Toronto, and I'm really excited to see that grow into what will become, hopefully, my dream job.
BCIT Broadcast and Online Journalism, putting you to work.
Wednesday was International Women's Day, and the theme this year was gender parity. Our reporter Roshni Nair shows how one industry deals with gender imbalance.
Camp 247 with you on approach 26th Street, and we're slowing down.
This routine flight arrival is more special than it looks. It was manned by this all-female flight and ground crew. The flight was a gesture to mark Women in Aviation Week and International Women's Day. The theme this year is gender parity. Gender parity is the proportion of women in a given profession, and aviation is one of the worst offenders.
I was the only girl there today and yesterday, and probably will be tomorrow.
At YVR, out of 41 air traffic controllers, only 3 are women. And women only make up 5% of pilots worldwide.
In 2016, a boy is still 3 times as likely as a girl to be offered an opportunity to visit an air and space facility or a first ride on a small aircraft.
Iowa is committed to changing this difference through their flight outreach programs. But the women themselves downplayed the issue.
Earlier in the career, you really noticed that you're trying to fit in a male-dominated environment, but now you're just coming to work and you don't really notice how many people are men around you work.
No, I think I'm so used to it that I don't notice that at all.
And I just don't think, from my perspective, that restriction really exists in the flying world as much anymore.
Even though the women came together for this special flight, they seem to think the sky's no limit for women. Roshi Nair in Richmond for BCIT Magazine.
Roland Fox, the father of Canadian icon Terry Fox, passed away of lung cancer this past Tuesday evening. A statement posted by the family on the Terry Fox Foundation website read, "He fulfilled his promise to Terry facing cancer with courage, grace, and a sense of humor." Fox was 80 years old.
Immigrating to a new country can be hard on anyone, but it can be especially tough on seniors. A local group is looking to get senior immigrants out of the house and socializing. My co-anchor Katie Youngblood has the story.
Coffee beans in a hot pan. Part of how Lasab Asfa made coffee back home in Ethiopia. Asfa shares the ritual with people just like her, senior immigrants from around the world, at meetings organized to inspire them to leave the house and to socialize, something that Asfa says she needed.
I was crying when I stayed at home. I was very worried. I was very, very scared because I don't know anything else about this country.
The club started last December, and although only 3 members are shown here, the group has grown to 21 members.
We've been looking at different places, and we've tried the food court. It's a little noisy, but it's not too bad. We can get a good table there. It's very big, but it's not ideal, and ideally we would have our own space.
That's one hurdle the group is trying to overcome. They can't afford to rent out a space for meetings.
We've tried the idea of renting a space in an apartment building, like many of them live in apartments, but that costs money. We've just found out that it costs $50.
Despite their financial woes, they still hope to expand the group in a couple of months.
That don't scare me. I am not worried about. So because it's better start from down and finish up.
I think this club is very necessary for all people.
With 19% of the immigrant population in Canada being 65 or older, the group may be a good thing to have around. Katie Youngblood in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Well, St. Patrick's Day is just around the corner, which means Celtic Fest will be in full swing very soon. I'm joined today by Michael Vien. He is part of the festival and here to tell us more about it. Michael, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So we're going to jump right into things. What can you tell us about Celtic Fest?
Celtic Fest is a celebration of Celtic traditions, and we can consider the Irish, Scottish traditions, the Welsh, even Manx, Cornish, Breton from France, Galicia from northern Spain, all part of the Celtic umbrella. In Vancouver here we see more Irish, Scottish, and Welsh. We've got a beautiful Welshmen's choir. Myself, I'm involved in the Celtic Fest Ceilidh, which is Saturday night. Ceilidh basically is just a term that the Irish and Scottish use for a party. It's a chance to get together, dance, sing some songs, tell some stories. So that's what we'll be doing at the Imperial on Saturday night. My band Blackthorn will be hosting the night. We've got a bunch of guests from Vancouver and back east. We're trying to make it a little more sort of local focus this year. And we'll have music, singers, fiddlers. We've got some Scottish Highland dancers coming in. We've got some Irish dancers coming in. So it'll be a well-rounded evening of music and fun and dance. And definitely get the crowd involved as well.
So how has this event been received in recent years? Has there always been a warm welcome from the Vancouver community?
I think so, yeah. The programming is great. There's a lot of diversity for what people can come and see. There's free events, there's paid events. Kids can get into certain things, adults, more oriented stuff. And then the parade, I mean, the St. Patrick's Day parade, everybody loves to dress in green and loves a parade. So seeing the streets in Vancouver lined with green-faced people watching the dancers and the musicians go by, it's a lot of fun.
So what's being done differently this year than it has been in recent years? Is there anything new that's popped out?
I think maybe more of a local focus this year rather than bringing in bigger names from back east or from overseas. But definitely we've even got that. We just had Damien Dempsey playing last Saturday. Sharon Shannon's a great accordion player from Ireland's coming in this Sunday. Dedanan will be here a week after the festival, so we consider that still part of us. But overall, I think just interacting with the community and making sure everybody knows about it.
Question a majority of our viewers are probably wondering, are there going to be some green drinks involved?
There may be. I don't personally partake in green drinks.
Okay, fair enough. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Michael.
Thanks, Kyle. Right. Good to be here.
And if you'd like to find out more about Celtic Fest, it'll be running until March 17th. Check out the website below for more details. Coming up next on BCIT Magazine, a group of students from Burnaby heads south to show off their hands-on skills.
And a local hockey player reflects on his junior career.
The most rewarding thing for me has been the relationships I developed in the program, both with instructors and classmates.
My sense of confidence has never been higher. I mean, this program's offered great opportunities to be in real world, real industry situations, and being in those moments and knowing I can contribute, I can do this.
It's exciting to be in this industry and to meet lots of great people and to make amazing friends.
BCIT Broadcast and Online Journalism, realizing your potential.
Welcome to Community Calendar. Here are some fun events happening across the Lower Mainland this month.
Come on down to the St. Patrick's Day Parade happening in the heart of downtown Vancouver. Festivities will kick off at 11 a.m. And don't worry if you miss out on anything because Celtic Fest will be taking place till the 17th.
The Vancouver Giants will be hosting their Fan Appreciation Night next Friday. Puck drops at 7 o'clock and some lucky fans in attendance will have a chance to score some prizes.
And the 5th annual Macaron Day in Vancouver takes place on March 20th. Join local bakeries, bistros, and cafes in support of local causes, one sweet treat at a time.
Check out some of the hottest wheels on the market at the Vancouver International Auto Show, back for its 96th season. It returns March 23rd to 27th at the Convention Center.
That was Amrit, and I'm Shaquille, and these are some of the events happening around the city this month. This has been Community Calendar.
For the first time ever, a group of deaf students from Burnaby are heading to compete in a sign language competition. As our reporter Katie Johnson found out, it's a rare opportunity for these students to meet others who share in their unique signing abilities.
9 students and their teachers from the BC School for the Deaf are heading south of the border. They'll be competing in the Flying Hands Sign Language Competition in Vancouver, Washington. All the students competing cannot hear and speak through an interpreter.
There's 3 categories. There's art, ASL poetry, and ASL storytelling. For the art, you have to pick one theme that you're going to represent, maybe the darker part of deaf history and oppression, or maybe something happier like deaf pride or deaf empowerment. For the poetry, you have to, well, there's up to 4 hand shapes that you have to use. Depending on what age you are, has different criteria for how many hand shapes you can use. And for the story, you can sign anything. You can pick anything from deaf history or deaf culture, and you can sign about that.
The school found out about the competition after one of their teachers, who's also deaf, attended a conference.
My biggest hope would be that when the students go, they feel better about themselves. They feel good about who they are as deaf people, that they'll be able to socialize with kids who are like them. You know, here, we have a small number of deaf students at BCSD, and I really want the students to go to another deaf school. I mean, most of them have never seen another deaf school before. And so when they go there, they can meet new deaf people, they can be exposed to other people, and they can develop lifelong relationships.
The competition is an opportunity for the students to practice their signing skills, meet new friends, and compete in extracurricular activities, just like their hearing counterparts do.
I think it's important that we do these kind of competitions because, you know, deaf people can sign and there's things that we can do. And I think it's important that we show what we can do in front of an audience and so that other kids can see us.
Being their first time participating at the event, the school hopes it will become an annual tradition for years to come. The competition kicks off March 9th with all hands on deck. Katie Johnson in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
Canadian women's sports leaders are making their mark on the international stage. Michelle O'Keefe was newly named the CEO and president of Basketball Canada, a height few women in international sport have managed to achieve.
The Vancouver Giants season is coming to a close, and so is the career of one of their top players. As my co-anchor Kyle Balzer reports, he leaves the Western Hockey League after passing a prestigious milestone and hopes to pursue his passion into the future.
Trevor Cox reached a career high this season with the Giants, earning his 300th career WHL point in 319 games.
That's right up there with getting my 100th point in the season last year and also hitting the 300 game plateau. I mean, those are huge milestones for myself and my family and friends, and just really glad I can accomplish them.
Cox spent 4 seasons with the Medicine Hat Tigers. When he found out he was being traded to the G-Men, he couldn't wait to play for his once favorite team.
I grew up coming to the Giants games and idolizing them, and I grew up always wanting to play for them. So I mean, when I got the call in late October that I was traded here, I was really excited, and obviously my family and friends were ecstatic as well.
As he approaches the 50-point mark for his last season, the 20-year-old's hockey smarts have been noticed by the head coach.
He's a smart player that sees the ice extremely well, and I think no matter who he's played with this year, you know, he's afforded them opportunities to put some points up. You know, he's not a big guy, but certainly to last in this league as long as he has and contributed the way he has, I think that you know, he's done a real good job, and he's been a role model for a lot of the younger guys.
Cox believes that by playing with the Vancouver Giants, it gives him somewhat of a personal advantage. He says that playing in front of familiar faces like friends and family gives him that extra edge.
It's been a bit of a difficult year with a couple injuries and the trade. I mean, I spent 4 or 5 years in Medicine Hat, and a change of scenery wasn't easy for myself. So I mean, just having them here to support me has been huge.
So what's next for the Surrey native? He has an undisclosed contract lined up with an American Hockey League team as he continues to pursue the ultimate goal.
The main goal and the dream is to play professional hockey or play in the NHL, and right now we're just in the midst of kind of figuring out what's going to happen, where I'm going to go after the season, and really excited and looking forward to wherever I'm headed off to.
Kyle Balzer in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
We're now joined by Katie Johnson, who has your entertainment scoop. Katie, fill us in on the world of entertainment.
Is it too late to say sorry? Well, according to UFC fighter Nate Diaz, it is. The fighter and Canadian recording artist Justin Bieber are feuding following his defeat of Conor McGregor this past Saturday. First, Bieber posted a photo of McGregor along with a caption reading, "Still the champ." He followed that up with another post that stated, "No bandwagon, but Conor is a true champion. Fights with style and finesse. All respect to Nate, but his style is terrible. Nate has crazy heart, respect." Diaz responded to Bieber with this. Amazingly, this isn't the first time the Biebs has picked a fight with a UFC fighter. calling out Ronda Rousey a few months ago. In other news, a week-long trial ended with $55 million awarded to sportscaster Erin Andrews. In 2008, a new video of her changing clothes in a hotel room surfaced. The accused, Michael David Barrett, was filming through a peephole. The judge found Barrett at fault for $28 million, while the hotel has been ordered to pay $26 million in damages. And moving on, actress Lena Dunham and creator of Girls is vowing no more Photoshop. Dunham appeared on a Spanish magazine looking evidently thin. She took to social media to express her thoughts, posting this image, accusing the magazine, saying, "This is not what my body has ever looked like." When asked about her decision, that could mean no more fashion shoots, Dunham replied, "So it be." And in the world of movies, one of the most anticipated comic book movies of the year pins two beloved characters against each other.
Do you know the oldest lie in America? That power can be innocent.
The film comes out March 28th. Those were your entertainment headlines. Back to you.
Thanks, Katie. And in other movie news, the new trailer for the movie Ghostbusters debuted this week. While the reaction has been mostly positive, many are taking to social media to complain about the all-female cast.
It was a moment of first for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Canada-U.S. relations. Trudeau marked his first prime ministerial visit to the White House this week, which also featured the first White House state dinner for a Canadian in 19 years.
If you have any questions or comments regarding this program, please visit us online at bcit-broadcast.com or bcitbroadcastnews.ca. So Kyle, spring break is coming up next week. Yes. I know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be a tourist in my own city, but what about you?
Katie, I'm actually very fortunate. I'm going to go to Palm Springs, California for this spring break. I'll hit the links, hang out by the pool, and catch some sun at the same time.
That sounds really nice.
Oh, yes.
We're wishing you a good spring break as well. That's this week's BCIT Magazine. I'm Katie Youngblood.
And I'm Kyle Balzer. Thank you for watching. We leave you now with a shot at the Vancouver Giants practice from earlier this week.